Hello, welcome back. Here we are.
Hi, gang.
Another fun week. We're episode 24 now.
Wow.
Ooh.
Has it been that long?
We're big kids
Yes,
now.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I lose track.
Most comics don't make it 12 issues anymore, so, you know.
I think we just jump like a bunch of episodes somehow magically.
That happens, too. I mean, we did a New
week's-
52. We'll just
Yeah,
start all
next
over.
week's going to be
rebooting New
73.
52.
Yeah, new 52. Let's
I
do it.
like that.
Rebirth.
I enjoy that.
I
How
remember
is it?
some comic strip that just showed Superman like up in space, and it was right before New 52 was about to launch, and he's just up in space and he's just peeing on the world, and Batman's flying over him going, "What the hell are you doing, Clark?" He's like, "Doesn't effing matter."
So that's why 2020 is the way it is.
Wow.
This is why we're like this.
That makes me think of the pop that John got in the loot crate that's over on the table. Superman carrying Batman.
Yeah, Super Carry Batman. Yes,
me
that's
think of
pretty
that
cute.
now.
So,
How's everybody's week?
go for it, Elizabeth. You got big news.
I have big news.
Yeah, big news.
Well-
What's that down there?
Rob can't look at it down there. No, we're doing the episode because I'm getting married at the end of the month, in the middle of the pandemic, and we just kind of like looked at each other and we're like, "Yo, I don't want to wait." And I was like, "I also don't know what I want." Whoa.
You got the mics today.
I know, right? I also don't want to wait. You did it again. You cursed me. At least
it's not
But
me
yeah,
this time.
so that's been really, I mean, it's been great, but it's been hectic because I'm like, I have a month to do this.
And rebuild your house.
Exactly, and rebuild my house. So we're doing the wedding episode this week because Mark is taking me out for my bachelorette party because he is my man
I'm
of
the maid
honor.
of honor.
He's my man of honor, but yes, maid of honor.
Yeah.
He
So-
will be wearing a dress to my
We
wedding.
are doing a gender nomenclature clear wedding, so
Yes.
I want
which
to see
is
him in a dress.
fantastic. So my week has been prepping her bachelorette trip that we're going to do on Saturday.
You're going to take me out to the woods and tell me to run for
We're
my
going to some
life.
unique locations that I think Elizabeth will love, and that when I thought of that, I immediately thought of my favorite bachelor party in comics. So we're going to talk about that a little later, and we're just going to watch Tom Hanks' bachelor party for 48 hours straight. We're just going to put it on loops, and because I can't get enough of a donkey. And if you know the movie, you know what I'm talking about. No, but anyway, yeah. So no, my week has been that and work, as always.
Yeah.
And I've done like 3 other radio shows this week, but those aren't airing for a little bit. So the highlight was I got to interview Sophie Aldred.
How did that go?
Fantastic.
You were geeking out about
I was nerding out. The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS is a podcast that has like 35,000 listeners now. It's insane. It started as a little thing. Christian Basil hosts it up in Orlando. He's fantastic.
Shout out.
Yeah, and we have been getting some legit guests now because we're getting up there. So we've had Nick Briggs, the head of Big Finish. We've had a couple, some companions on, and then we had Katie Manning on from the Third Doctor. She's adorable. She's not doing well right now, so she cut her eye. So shout out to Katie. We love you. Hope you're doing better. But anyway, we got to interview Sophie Aldred, who had just written a new book called At Childhood's End. In it, her character Ace, companion of the Seventh Doctor, meets Jodie Whittaker, the new 13th Doctor. And so I got to read her book. I had to read it the night before, and I'm a speed reader, so that worked out. And so the next morning, we went in fresh, did the interview with her. And what was awesome was she remembered me from meeting us at a Creepy Florida event years ago.
Yeah.
And so of her hour time, she winds up talking to me for like 5 minutes, which was awesome. So and author to author, we were like, yeah, let's just plug each other's books for about 10 minutes. And the other panelists were like, it was great. So
What about you, Michael?
So I was getting the chat back up.
Yeah.
It's been a decent week. Just had a bunch of people come over for 4th of July. And just,
well, that's right, that happened.
yeah, that was something that happened Saturday. Then really relaxed all week and I had Monday off, so it was good to have a day off during the week since I had to work Friday. So,
Yeah, most people had off Friday, but you're...
yeah, my company, we do the most business beginning of the month. That's when
That
most
makes
people
sense,
get
yeah.
paid. So they're like, you got to work Friday, but you get Monday off. Whatever.
Yeah.
I still get 3 days off. I don't care. And I got paid for it, so it's even better.
See, I had this weekend off because we were supposed to be at Tampa Bay Comic Con.
Oh, yeah.
RIP.
Yeah.
No.
I wish I could have went to that because there were people I wanted to see.
It's okay. Better safe than sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, other cons have been canceling officially now. Dragon Con canceled, Colossal Con.
Spooky
just announced-
Empire.
Spooky announced this week they canceled.
Sad. And we haven't heard from Fanboy Expo
Yeah.
or Mega's attempt at one in October. But-
If Spooky canceled October, Mega's going after
Yeah.
it.
I probably.
I don't
was
see them
thinking.
doing it.
So we'll see what happens.
Hallmat officially said they're still hopefully doing it in December, but we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? I know
December's
we're
far
still
enough
in
out
talks.
where you could.
We're still in talks of being a guest at Mega with Fan Expo, so we'll see. But like I said, they know we're here and they know
Yeah.
we're spooky, and since it's going to be on a Halloween weekend, we're getting a little priority. So
Yeah.
If it happens.
But if it happens, but at this point, everything's paused. So.
Yeah.
Hopefully things will clear back up soon. Let me pull my notes back up.
But it's actually interesting because, like, when we were planning our wedding, the woman, the place we were doing it, she was like, yeah, a lot of people are actually doing what you're doing. They're doing, like, really small things. So I'm like, so the wedding business is booming
Oh, yeah.
because everyone's afraid to die alone. And I'm like, well, I guess we're doing that, you know.
I need to find someone and get married.
If you want to date Michael, you just submit your application to
Where can they
Elizabeth
email us,
Abbott.
Michael, if they want to date you?
I will review it and get it back to you and to him because he is our precious little flower and we love him. So he's
Flower?
too good enough for you. Yes, you're a precious
I'm a
flower.
flower?
Like in the Beauty and the Beast, we got to put you in a thing and protect you. So
Until
yeah,
he turns
no
21.
one just randomly can come into your. Shush! No one randomly can just come into your life. They need approval from me and Mark, I
You
guess.
heard
But
it
me.
from there.
Yes, I guess. I'm the creepy uncle.
For that, and if you want to be a guest on the
that.
show or cosplay guest, you can email us at home or info@comicbook101tv.com.
I like making you blush and smile. I win.
So glad we're live.
Yes.
You can follow us on
glad we're
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, comicbook101tv.com. We have a new lower third, apparently.
Apparently,
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah. I even told Michael that I was going to do this bit. So like he could have stopped me, but he didn't. He
No,
wanted me to
I
do the
wasn't really
low-key.
paying attention earlier. I was trying to get stuff done.
Oh
and
yeah.
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 We believe you, Mike.
Send those apps
Just
in.
like you said, you had nothing to do with that severed head they found in St. Pete.
Michael did it.
Hey, all I could think of when I heard about that was Highlander.
It's literally like
That's
right
all
next
I
to
could
Mark's
think.
house. Like
That was 38th Avenue South,
Okay.
38th Avenue North. Thank you.
okay.
I got 100 phone calls, though. I will say that.
that Hellview
Mark,
Cemetery?"
I'm like, the man was dead when I got there. I swear. Yeah. The
Question is, where's the body? Did it fall out of
that
someone's
nobody
car?
knows.
and-
That's
Nobody
just,
knows.
there's an overpass right there.
It's 30 Avenue
So
North.
it could've-
Probably, yeah.
They probably lost the head, and I guarantee you somebody's going to hide that body somewhere. And then they got there and they went,
Oh, shit.
See, after weddings, there's funerals. So next week we'll do funerals.
We'll do
Boom.
deaths.
Already called
We'll do
it.
famous deaths
We'll
next
do
week.
famous deaths. Got it. Too many winks in this. All right, let's move
That's a
on.
lot of deaths. I call Adam Warlock.
There you go.
Oh, go
I
go
like
for
his
it.
death.
Captain
there you
Marvel.
go.
Death of Captain
Yeah.
Marvel.
Who is our cosplayer?
Well, we haven't got that
interested.
far yet.
Oh yeah, we have people to talk about. I
Yeah.
She's excited.
She's very excited
She's ready
today.
for a wedding to be here. She's counting
I'm
the
ready.
days.
Why are you
no,
wearing your little
I'm
wedding
ready
hat?
for the applications to date Michael. That's what I'm ready for.
Those are not going to happen.
Yes,
Those are not going to happen. I already
Count
know
on you.
I'm
that.
counting on this
Counting
one
on you.
person. Yes.
If you want... I don't even know where to go right
He's
now.
gone. He's so gone. That's awesome.
Done.
So let's talk about our show
So,
supporters.
yeah, our show supporters.
We love them.
We have Jeff and Holly Collectibles. They have a lot of awesome pop figures over at their shop. They announced the other day they're going to be doing another raffle. This time it's going to be $5 for the raffle, and there's going to be more winners this time, I guess.
Sweet.
So definitely jump into it. Check out their page. I know I'm going to tomorrow put in some money for the next raffle.
Definitely want
'Cause
to
they have
support
some
small
nice
businesses
pops that I really
right now.
want over there. And
Boom! I did it, Mark.
Yeah.
Well, there you
did.
go.
It looks lovely.
Our other supporter is Yancey Street Comics, right up the road from us.
Yay.
I go there. Well, I haven't actually been in about 2 weeks because my new hours at work kind of change how I go places. But I go there for all their comics. I'll be going there tomorrow. And the most important, where can everybody get your stuff at?
ErieFlorida.com is where you can get our stuff. We're caught up on orders from our most recent appearances. We've got a couple radio shows and a couple podcasts coming up, so that might back up.
Boost
so
everything
now
more.
is the time if you want to get an order in. order it before we start getting into spooky season and get those personalized copies of
And can you
Eerie,
get
Florida,
some little
Freaky
hand
Florida, or
drawings
Creepy
in them
Florida.
too?
Yep, Carrie is free right now. She just finished up the last few. She did a couple skunk apes with some skunk ape babies. That was a big request. We had
Oh,
like
that's
4 of
interesting.
those requested from the last when we were on Sasquatch Chronicles.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a big thing with them. And
I
then,
think my book has Nessie in it.
I think she did Pinky for you.
Pinky.
Yeah,
Pinky.
Pinky, the
Nessie,
local.
come
Nessie.
on.
Florida's Nessie.
Yeah.
And then we've got what was the other one that somebody? Oh, we had a fun request for a UFO, so that was nice to do a black triangle. She likes to do those, so because they're
cool.
easy.
I know the
Not
UFO
Russians.
show's coming back
Oh,
Friday.
is it? Yay!
Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. I believe it's going to be live, and then the rerun will be at 8:30 after Nerd Talk.
Nice.
So that show's going to
Nice.
be
Here on this station.
yes
Yep.
on WeBeamTV.com
we
and
should
their
be here
Facebook
for Nerd
page.
Talk tomorrow too. So
So yeah, it's good to have Melissa back for that.
yeah,
I pronounced her name right this time.
yeah.
But let's go with our cosplayer. Or underscore cosplay. And
Yeah.
Facebook is Nova Corpse Cosplay. He does
Nova Core,
Nova
not
Corp-
Corpse.
yeah, I'm
Nova Corpse is a completely different thing.
It's the Michael
He could be-
virus. It's
yeah.
spreading back to
That's
Michael.
from the Marvel Zombies, but Nova Core, and that is an awesome Nova. Oh man, Logan! Like, yeah.
Ooh.
so what got him into cosplay is having why he loves cosplay is he loves having the kids tell his parents that they want to take pictures of him and everything. His favorite cosplay at the moment is Nova Prime.
Yeah.
It's a very complex one that he did. He's shocked how many people have seen it and everything that
Oh, nice. Black
recognize it.
costume Spidey.
His next cosplay right now is another toss-up between another version of Nova, and Samurai Logan.
Samurai Logan would be good. Nova, you can't go wrong with Nova. There's never enough Nova.
Yeah, classic Nova and Samurai Logan's his next one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Too soon. Too soon.
He makes a great Wolverine.
He does.
Does.
But yeah, it's our wonderful cosplay of the week, so definitely check
Yeah.
out his Instagram, Facebook page, and everything.
Yes, that was one of my favorite storylines. We'll have to do a Nova episode at one point. 'Cause,
All right,
again,
Michael.
Marvel just didn't know how to deal with him, I think. They made him popular, didn't realize they were going to.
Yeah.
Didn't know what to do, so.
All right. We're making Michael talk a lot this episode. We're putting him out there.
Yeah.
So,
So that he can get some emails.
what is our first key issue of the night?
Well, do we still have any more of this? Or we good?
There it goes.
Now we're back.
So again, we're talking about all the important weddings, and there's been many
Yes.
good and very strange
odd.
weddings.
Yeah, there's been some unusual weddings.
some like really.
It's the classic, because comics follow the soap opera trope, which is when things get a little down and things get a little crazy, because you can only run these storylines so much, you got to do the wedding. And
What's your favorite wedding that they've done?
my favorite comic book wedding?
Yeah.
My favorite comic book wedding is the wedding of Rick Jones, and
Which is
we'll
what
talk
you'll
about
talk
that in a
about,
little
yeah.
bit.
What
So,
about you?
Mine is the wedding that never happened.
Wonder what one that is. We'll have to
Batman.
find out later.
It's a Batman related thing. It's Batman and Catwoman.
yeah,
They never got
Those
married.
should-
And only it's my favorite because I get to rage about it because it's ridiculous.
yep, yeah.
Boom,
They
done.
definitely treated that one poorly.
What
That's-
about
How about
you,
you, Mike?
Michael?
Well, I really don't have a favorite wedding. I think the Deadpool one was probably a good one.
That was pretty fun. I love.
Because
It was a good.
Deadpool, and you never know what to expect from that one.
Exactly. The fact that he was getting married,
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
Mr. Pansexual, getting married.
All right.
So,
Go, Michael,
first
go.
wedding I believe in comics was actually the Fantastic Four wedding.
That was the big deal, because Marvel had never, or anybody had never really done that. Superman and Lois were always the will they, won't they, will they,
Yeah.
won't they, and they kept getting close, and it never happened. So this was a big deal. Marvel stepped up to the bat and said, "We're marrying two characters that have been together for a while." So
It
tell us
was
about
in
it.
Fantastic Four Annual number 3 in 1965. So you had everybody from Marvel was pretty much there. Even Doctor Doom showed up, and he brought some friends to kind of ruin a wedding, from Puppet Master to Red Ghost, Super Ape, Small Man, Mandrian, Black Knight, Kang, Mad Thinker, Awesome Android, Grey Gargoyles,
Andy.
Super Scroll, Hydra, Cobra, Enchantress,
Yeah.
Electrode, believe it or not, Human Top.
Yes.
And it was even a cameo by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they're getting ready to have the wedding. All the villains decide, let's all attack at once. And it was a big fight between everybody in Marvel.
Yeah, I think it was because Doom was like controlling them.
Yeah, he had
somehow.
some special mind control to cover their like emotions and everything.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, let's just go have some fun and attempt to ruin a wedding.
Well, Doom's always involved when Sue is, because he's
Oh,
obsessed,
yeah. Obsessed
with
with Sue.
Sue.
He's
And
a-
when he takes over, he marries her and makes her forget all about Richard, like later on in the thing. And so, like,
in
of course
Secret
he had to
Wars,
be
yeah.
there. Yeah.
But so they end up doing a big fight. They end up winning, of course, and happily got married together.
Yeah, and I think their only issues were around the time of Civil War, and they kind of
What's more important than your
Split-
family, Richard?
split focus.
Science.
Science. Yeah.
Then we also do see the wedding in the Fantastic Four: Rise of the
Yes.
Silver Surfer movie.
Oh, that's right. They
Yes.
did a live action version of it. So
Kind of want to forget about that movie though.
yeah.
Silver Surfer ended up ruining the wedding and showing up because some big cloud was coming to Earth.
Yes, a cloud.
Yeah, cloud.
A freaking cloud.
I still.
It's very anticlimactic because he's just like, I'm here. There's a cloud coming, and you're like, well, I guess we're not getting married.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So is a cloud bringing rain? Why is the cloud
What is
coming?
yeah.
But yeah, so this did change comics, though. I mean, this
Yeah.
was the first time a wedding stuck. Sue Storm was now Sue Richards.
Richards.
And you're tying these characters together essentially forever. I mean,
Forever,
yes,
yeah.
divorce exists in the world, but
At that point,
You know.
they hadn't even had marriages in comics.
Yeah.
So this was.
This
I mean,
was
a
a
couple
big
characters
first
were
thing.
married.
Exactly.
I think like Elongated Man and some others were married pre this.
So you never had the official
Yeah,
wedding.
the wedding.
In
So this
comics.
was them trying the soap opera trick, and it worked.
Yeah.
It was one of the biggest selling issues of the day at the time. So, and I think it was one of the first that really had a big comic crossover with
Yeah.
Avengers and Fantastic Four
That's the
and
thing.
everybody.
This was the first official crossover they said for this.
Yeah, because before that, the Thing had bumped into Spider-Man. Spider-Man had gone to the
But
Fantastic
again-
Four and stuff, but nothing.
By our definition of crossovers, is it really a crossover because it's just all Marvel characters?
Yeah. No, like I said, I think this is just an event.
Yeah.
This is like an
Yeah.
event issue. So.
So it's still a good one. Then what's the next one we have coming up?
Mark.
Oh, are we up to mine now? This is what I get for not looking at the notes. Oh,
Peter-
we're at Spidey.
Speaking of Spider-Man, it's Peter Parker and Mary
Jane, yes. Now this was huge for me. This was
1987. this one came
I was
out.
in high school and this came out, and I was still the nerd. You know,
And you're
comics were-
72 now, so it was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah, I'm in my 70s. No, but
was in
and this
elementary
was
school still
this
for this.
isn't what happened. You know, this was the comic issue. There is, she's they're dreaming that is she going to be married with all the villains and the heroes, and Peter's worried about it. He's worried about the villain showing up and attacking her. He's having a nightmare. She's having a weird dream, and it actually turns out to be like that. It's just
Yeah.
a nice, quiet little ceremony. And they actually have a wonderful little comic. And then they did it. This was huge news. This made the newspapers. This made everything at the time. And they actually had an actor and an actress get married in the dress. They actually made Vera Wang made the dress. And there was a guy in a Spider-Man costume, and they got married at a Yankees baseball game. Like in the middle of the seventh inning stretch, they had them come out and do the wedding ceremony, which was crazy, which was closer to the comic, the cover reenactment than the actual comic. So that was huge, and that defined it. I mean, they were married for 20 years. I
So they
think,
did
in
this
comics.
really pivotal, you know where this is going,
Well-
this really
Well, I grew
pivotal
up
thing.
with Peter being married at that
Exactly.
point. And I was about to get married at that point, so I was following Peter Parker.
And you were
Spider-Man
loving it.
I was loving it. It was great. He grew. He became a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He was no longer, he started helping kids, and
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about having kids. They had marital troubles. They were things like where that Black Cat would show up occasionally,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of mess with him, and he didn't know how to handle that, and
and you're
it
like,
was-
if they can make it, I can make
Anybody,
it.
and then they had those issues. We talked about that one Spider-Man issue
Yeah.
where they had split up, but then they bump into each other and they kind of reconcile. It was amazing. These were great stories.
And
And
then
then
one more day happens.
Joe Quesada, I'm looking at you, right now.
One more day. So if you don't know what one more day is,
Mephisto, Marvel's Satan,
We get very angry
After
about this.
Civil War, comes up to Peter Parker. Aunt May's been shot by an assassin and is dying.
She's dying. She's like, I'm done. I'm old.
She's a million years old.
I'm old.
Who
I
cares?
want to go be with Uncle Ben. And Spider-Man's losing his mind. He's like, oh my God. He's like, he goes to Reed Richards. He's like, you got to save my aunt. You got to save her. You got to save her. And he's like, your time has come, man. He goes to like everyone in the Marvel Universe. Your time has come and you just got to, she's like, let me go. Let me be dead. And then, like you were saying.
Yeah, J. Michael Straczynski was writing Spider-Man
Yes.
Time. He was also writing 4 and probably the best runs of both of those
Yes.
ever. Maybe
Such good
Simonson's Thor, would
Yeah.
be on par with that. And on par with the Ramada and everybody run a Spidey. But anyway, it's crazy. And so he goes, yeah, I'll make this deal with the devil and save my aunt. And then he does it. He recants at the last minute. He's like, what am I doing? I'm making a deal with Mephisto.
Well, what happens is he comes, he's like, hey, I hear you have a problem. I hear your beloved, aunt is dying. And so you go on like this whole thing where they're like, here's all the good moments that you had together, and she's so important to you. And he's like, yeah, she is. Yeah, I want to do this. And then you're right. And he's like, oh no, I can't do this because he's like, I just want one thing. I just want one thing, Peter. I want one thing from you.
And
right?
he walks away.
And yes, because I want one thing for you. And Peter's like, anything you want. And he's like, I want your marriage. I want your marriage.
Yep.
Want that love you got. And he's like, oh man, but I
can't do it.
But I can't do it. This is like the purest of loves. And that's really what it is. That's why he wants that love, because it would be the biggest FU to God if he took this love and this marriage away. And he's like, no, I can't do it. The one thing that Peter does right.
But then Mary Jane comes up and says, I'll do it. To save Aunt May. So there we go. And then it's reset. Now, we've had some good stories with Spider-Man since, but that ruined everything for me. And that's when I quit Marvel for a while.
After that, because like in that whole thing, they have like this little kid that like you keep seeing in like this flashbacks, and you find out after she's like, yes, we'll do this thing, and that was the child that they were going to have, which would have been the pure embodiment. Like they were going to have like this child that was going to be like amazing, blah, blah, blah.
Well, they'd had Spider-Girl comics for years with Mayday Parker, and then they'd also had, then they did Renew Your Vows with Annie.
And that's the next thing we were going to mention, because they're like, oh, we did a boo-boo, because people like you were like, well, nope, I'm done. People like me are like, you were the consistent thing. Like DC's like, that was another universe. That was another universe.
Yeah.
But like Marvel's like, no, we're linear, man. We're all together. And so they ruined it. I'm like, no, I'm out.
Well, they'd already done Ultimates at this point, or starting Ultimates. But they, and that was what the whole point was. Let's make Ultimates so we can start people new. And nope. Sorry, rant. Let's get back to weddings.
But then they did Renew Your Vows, and they have them back together, and it's Peter, Mary Jane, and Annie is the child. Yeah. And they all fight crime together, and they're like, see, they're a family. They got married again, they have the kid, and we fixed
universe, but
we fixed it. And you're like, I'm watching you. But that's not the only messed up thing the Spider-Man universe did with weddings.
The next one's creepy.
Yeah.
Tell us about
classic.
that.
I don't even know much about this one. When I was looking it up, the comic style, she looks half dead in this.
Yes, Aunt May.
Aunt May looks horrible in this, but her and Doc Ock get married.
Are real close to getting married.
True love.
True love. Otto Octavius, not as Doc Ock, is actually there to woo her and win her over. And Spidey's like, why is he doing this? He's trying to get me. And of course, at this point, Aunt May is still the Spider-Man's a menace. I read the Bugle.
Yeah.
He's terrible. Peter, be careful. Spider-Man may hurt you.
That image right there of Aunt May.
Yeah, she
does.
She looks like the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt comics at the time.
But it's not because of Peter Parker. It's because Aunt May. See, I wanted the people to see what you would look like on your special day. It's because she had... I won't stop. He's been upset all week. We're going to make him laugh this show. But it's because she had a huge inheritance from Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben. And, of course, it's like the classic villain story, only he is an actual supervillain. But I think that's kind of funny. They're like, So we could have it where he's trying to, defeat Peter Parker. Let's just go back to basics and have him want to steal the old woman's money.
Funny
and I'm
that he actually kind of likes her.
Kind of likes her. Yeah, and you're like, oh.
That's the joke. It was the 60s. Aunt May is pure and innocent, just like Peter. And
But that's not the only time she's almost got married.
It isn't?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, J. Jonah.
Oh, yeah.
Partner.
So we don't have that one up, but yeah, she almost got married to him as
almost got
well.
married to
Hey,
JJ.
see, you got
Aunt
some.
May, she's got
there's
some
some
play, man.
things.
And now she's
With everybody
Marissa
that hates
Tomei.
Spidey.
I'm down.
Oh yeah, the
So,
new
yeah,
I would marry her in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
They keep making her younger. I wonder why.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Can't imagine.
What's
Next
else?
big one.
All right.
Is
Where
the
we at?
X-Men one right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
go
we've
for
seen it in comics and we've seen it in the cartoon as well.
Yeah.
Wasn't this one yours?
No, this one's yours.
This
We
is yours.
switched.
We switched.
We switched.
This is, yep.
So,
Scott and Jean.
All right.
I'd
All right, fine, I'll take it. Scott and Jean.
Trying to put you out there.
Cyclops. And
Yes.
Mary Jane.
We are not happy
and
about
not Mary
this.
Jane, but Jean Grey. And what happened was Claremont had written this years before that he killed off Jean Grey.
Yeah.
He was done with it. And she was going to fall in love with Madeline Pryor. Cyclops was going to fall in love with Madeline Pryor and live on his life with that. And they were going to have like a normal life. All the new X-Men took over. That was the whole point of the 1963 X-Men taking over. But no, 90s X-Men comics, we had to do what we had to do. So she came back to life because at this point everybody was coming back to life thanks to Superman. And then
We'll
they
rant
brought
about
back
that next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. Oh yeah, we're definitely talking about that next
Yeah.
week. And then so they brought back Jean Grey and Cyclops and them get married, and it's the X-Men.
But the reason this is important is that it was a huge, it was a horrible move for that franchise.
Yeah.
Like, they're like,
They
oh.
were a terrible couple.
Exactly. They're like, oh, it worked for Fantastic Four, and it worked for Spider-Man. And like, we can revitalize this. We can revitalize this relationship
horrible
and this
wedding.
franchise, right? And it's like, no, you can't. So it's just a classic example of like, maybe you should just leave things.
Some people shouldn't get
Alone.
married,
No.
and that was
No.
them.
And that
Exactly, that
was
was
definitely them. Oh my god. Yeah. So and it doesn't last long because they die again, and then Cyclops goes evil and other things, and it's crazy. Dark Phoenix, all that. But the Dark Phoenix was before this, everything. So this was just, it was bad writing. Again, it was let's do a wedding. That'll make some money, and that's all it was. It
Was
a
the
cash
comic
grab.
sales at that time going down?
It was
'Cause that
right after.
That was in
X-
'94.
Yeah, so that would have been right before the big collapse. It was 90s were all about the special issues, 5 covers of X-Men #1, and and the holographic covers
Yeah.
and the Ghost Rider cover that glowed in the dark and all that. That was before they figured out variants.
Yeah.
This was they would just make these weird issues that had weird printing and stuff.
Next one we get is the Boy Scout wedding.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he's
Lois Lane and Clark Kent. Yeah. And this is one that I think this was a good move and people were expecting it, and they've made him be in relationships with other women throughout the years, but
Lana. And,
it was the Superman wedding album #1 in 1996, and Superman finally walks down the aisle with Lois Lane. But before that, their engagement was complicated first by Superman's death. And then Lois, breaks off the engagement and leaves because she is going to be a foreign correspondent. So, they had some rocky...
not like Superman could fly around the world to be with her every
Exactly.
night. No. So.
Excuse me.
But
But, finally they were motivated by the progression because, the writers, I think they did it right. Where they had, just like Spider-Man did, they had some rockiness in the road and they went apart and they're like, well, we need to we want to be together. And they moved their relationship along a linear line where they do end up together. And so this one was a win.
Well, they were motivated in
Well,
the comics to do
yes.
it because of the Lois and Clark TV show.
Lois and Clark
that
show,
was a hit
which
in the
was
90s.
huge
Yes.
at the time. That was a great show. Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. I used to watch it just because in the credit she was sliding down a slide. And in a low-cut top. So Terry Hatcher, thank you. But no, honestly, it was a great show. All the characters were really well done, and they did this wonderful thing where they played the will they, won't they kind of thing
The whole time, yeah.
the whole time, and so that's why the comic was kind of holding off. And then honestly, I think DC pulled their usual.
They did.
Let's make the wedding because we're going to be rebooting this universe in 2 years anyway.
And in New
So.
52, which They did. And so because they felt like maybe it stunted their growth, because the New 52, I think he gets with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, New 52 erased the whole wedding. It
Exactly.
didn't happen.
And so, again, that's a classic DC move. You don't expect that from Marvel, but, you know, DC's like, I can do whatever I want. I got all these universes. So I think it was a good move to finally, it was like a kind of a closing of a chapter, but again, just erase it and restart. Why not? They already did. Then they did it again with Rebirth, and then they're now doing it with a new universe coming out. So we'll see. Maybe they'll get back together. Maybe they won't. Maybe there'll be someone new. I don't know.
Who knows?
I never know. You never know.
Whatever sells.
And now,
The next one.
Your
is
favorite.
Your favorite.
Yay! The one I've been dying to talk about. This
you want
is.
your comic?
Yeah, please.
This is actually really cool.
This is great. This was the wedding of Rick Jones, who Marvel people know who Rick Jones is, but people, if you just watch the Marvel movies, you don't know who Rick Jones is. It came in this special,
So
open
cool.
cover with all the superheroes. Looked like a nice little wedding invitation. This was still Smart Hulk run, so this is Peter David, the good years, and Rick Jones is the guy. Now, the Marvel movies have gotten the Hulk wrong. I'm gonna say that right now, because he's trying to create the super soldier for him. He's trying to experiment on himself and all these. No, the Hulk becomes the Hulk because there's a gamma bomb that he helped invent, and Rick Jones is the guy who's sitting out in the field, and the Hulk, and Bruce Banner goes out to save him, and saves him, and he gets hit by the gamma bomb and becomes the Hulk. So Rick Jones is just the Hulk's partner for a little while. He's just like the kid's sidekick. And then a little while later, he starts teaming up with the Avengers. He starts hanging out with the Avengers, and he becomes Cap's sidekick for a while. Becomes the new Bucky for a little bit. He's just a normal dude.
Yeah.
He's a musician. And then he becomes Captain Marvel. He gets the Negabonds. He gets the bands that he has to go to the negative zone. So he's a human dude in the negative zone while Captain Marvel's on Earth saving the world. And then they swap places back and forth. So it's just this regular guy who just happens to interact with all the comic guys. And then he's getting married to Marlo, who is a friend of She-Hulk, and she's another longtime friend of hers. And the best part about this whole wedding is not the wedding itself, but we're going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here. The bachelor party that happened before it and the bachelorette party that happened that same issue.
You're not recreating this weekend, right? You're not recreating.
We're not
Yes,
recreating this,
you
although
should.
we could. It's great because
legal
Cap
reasons,
gets
we're not.
drunk because his VFW war buddies are spiking the punch at the party.
Can Cap get drunk?
Yeah, he actually
Yes.
can because it's hitting him. But what's great is
still
while they're
human.
spiking the punch, Hercules walks over and grabs the punch bowl and drinks. It's like "Psh, barely more than milk. It's not spiked. Smart Hulk and Cap had just had a fight like a few weeks before that in another comic where he wrapped Cap in a lamppost. So they're kind of getting over that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this is the intelligent
this is
Hulk
Smart Hulk.
run.
Yeah. He's had some issues where he's losing some of his intelligence and getting stronger again. So he's kind of worried he's been losing control. There's that one panel we saw earlier where he's walking into a door because he's just not paying attention at Doc Samson's house. Doc Samson's an odd character. He's another irradiated guy. All he got was green hair, and he's like the superhero psychiatrist, which is pretty awesome. He's an actual doctor.
They need him.
What a job.
Yeah, and it's actually, he's really funny. That would be a show for Marvel to do, is Doc Samson. Just have them, all the superheroes sit in a chair and go over their therapy. But
For the bachelor party.
so the bachelor party, there's a great scene with the Human Torch riding on Silver Surfer's surfboard with a lampshade on his head, going woo, and the surfer's like, get down now, get down now. And Vision's trying to figure out what the hell a bachelor party is and why are we
I
doing
love
this
him.
and all this. And Ulysses brings out a skin flick, and they're gonna watch a stag movie, and Cap suddenly got something in his eye, and it's hysterical.
I just love how like Captain America the whole time is just like, I don't want to do these things. I'm pure.
I'm a good boy.
I'm a good boy.
I'm a good boy.
I'm a
I've been
Boy
drunk.
Scout.
I don't want to be drunk and look
right
at the
before the
ladies.
skin flick, though, a villainess shows up, and she's got this great gun and all this stuff, and they're like, "Who's this?" And she's like, "I am the Eradicator," or something like that. And then turns out, and she's like, and Nick Fury says hello, and she's a stripper.
She's like a hair dryer.
Yeah. So anyway, and they're like, don't tell the girls that we got a stripper. Don't tell the girls. And immediately at that point, it cuts to the girls who are at a Chippendales, and there's a Rawhide Kid stripper up on top, and Betty Brant, Hulk's girlfriend, going, take it off, take it off. It's just great. She-Hulk's there, and they get attacked by somebody who actually goes in to rob the place.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty funny because Sue Storm is there and all the others. So these poor
That
robbers.
poor robber. He didn't know what he was
a
Not
getting.
gang.
supervillains.
Yeah, they're not supervillains. They had no idea. They're just getting money from the girls at the strip club. It's like,
Yeah.
purse is open, let's take it. And then sure enough, they have their fun night of beating up bad guys. So then we come back to the boys, and they're about to watch the skin flick. And Ulysses and Quicksilver are like, no, this is artistic. Our friend made this one. It's good. And I know the guy. And then Vision's just like, I don't understand the point of watching a movie where it's just how much little clothes the woman is wearing. Because
Vision's amazing.
And then Rick's watching the movie going, and they're looking at the girl. She's taking her clothes off, and Quicksilver has some line about, no tan lines. What an impressive woman, a very healthy woman. And Hercules is like, aye. And then Rick's like, well, I don't know what it is. I'm about to get married, so just all these women, they remind me of Marlo. And then everybody's doing the spit take, that scene you saw on the cover, because the twist, which we're not supposed to reveal according to the cover, but it's been a long time. It's like,
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, it is Marlo who in the video, and she had made it when she was very young with an ex-boyfriend who thought had been deleted. Imagine that.
And the Vision.
And the Vision's like,
Vision.
oh, he's like, that's Marlo? That's your fiance? You must be very proud. So the wedding happens. What happens is there was an uninvited guest at the bachelor party. Impossible Man, who is Marvel's Mr. Mxyzptlk. He is, it's another one of those Thanos, Darkseid, which one was first? Impossible Man and Mr. Mxyzptlk were created almost the same week. So again, just, stealing ideas. So Impossible Man makes anything happen. So at the wedding, he changes the invitations. So not only do the heroes show up at the wedding, the villains show up too.
But they're actually really cool about it.
Yeah, they're all like, hey, we're happy to be invited. This is awesome. And they all start, so they're all being really nice.
Yeah.
And then of course, then Mephisto shows up and he's all pissed. The Kree and the Skrull show up who are at war. They send ambassadors down.
Yeah.
And
Like
the
Star
ambassador, here's a little Marvel trivia for you movie folks, is Talos. And from the Captain Marvel movie, and then secretly Nick Fury and Spider-Man Far From Home.
That's his first.
That's his first
I knew
appearance. That's why this comic's actually kind of a little more valuable than it used to be.
Yeah.
Before it was just the marriage of this weird sidekick character. But anyway, so we have Hulk throwdown with Mephisto at a wedding, because they're like, hey, we're in the presence of something all powerful here, so Mephisto should have less power. And of course, it's a plot by Mephisto to let the Hulk think he's winning. But anyway, they have this nice wedding, and then there's one little cameo at the end. Now, Peter David, who wrote this, snuck in a cameo from his friend Neil Gaiman's character, who wrote for the Distinguished Competition, as Marvel used to call him, DC, the Distinguished Competition. He was writing a series at that time called Death. And I can't remember the subtitle. It was great. Curious. Oh, somebody in the chat, give it to us. But anyway, he wanted Death to show up at the wedding because they'd done this. And so what they did was they shot her from there's this goth girl from the back, and then they show her from the neck down with her ankh tucked into her thing, and she's giving Marlo a wedding present. Marlo and Rick a wedding present. And because they've survived all this, and they've been through all these troubles.
Well, they have a dialogue, because she's like, have I met you?
She's like,
And Death's like, we've, briefly, but I cut you some slack.
Because we like you, and we like your, and so anyway, it was a joke that Peter David and Neil Gaiman came up with. They couldn't get permission to use her, but at the end she gave them a brush, and everybody for months was trying to figure out what was the significance of this brush.
Is it a magical brush? What happens?
Just a normal brush.
It was their pun.
It's better than that.
It was a pun that Neil Gaiman and Peter David came up with. It was a brush with death.
Ta-da-da.
That they had a brush with death for their wedding.
Mark was so excited to say that.
Cha!
I didn't see that coming.
Exactly. Neither did I. That was the sad part. So,
So, do they have this one in the books where you can buy them now?
I think there's a Marriage of Rick Jones trade, but it's hard to get. I think it's out of print. So
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure you can buy all these right now in trade paperback.
most of them you can buy trades.
Yeah.
And I think there's a Hulk trade that has it because it was anyone that includes issues 417, 418 will have it. So.
So it's
But that's
definitely
it.
one you want to go pick up at the comic shop.
Yep.
If you can find the original one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said,
Definitely
the
worth
problem is the
picking up.
wedding's gone valuable because of Talos.
Yeah.
Not huge because he didn't really take off that much, but
It's a nice little reprieve too, because again, I consider it a win
Yeah.
for
And
Marvel.
they're
You know
still
what I mean?
married.
It's exactly they're still married and they're a good couple, and like nothing that they did like ruined the timeline,
No,
and
no.
you know it was
They
it was fun.
outlast the X-Men wedding.
yep, they
Yep.
sure did. They
Yeah.
actually, and Rick wrote a book called Sidekick in the Marvel Universe.
do
so
love
he does
that.
book tours and stuff. So it's
He's just like a really
that's
interesting character because you're like, oh, I didn't know he did all this thing. I didn't know he did all those things.
Yeah, he was like the linchpin of the Marvel Universe for a long
Yeah.
time.
Pretty cool.
So what's next?
Next is a wedding that actually didn't happen.
Oh, now Elizabeth gets to rant.
I'm sure everyone wants to hear me rant. I'm sure that's why everyone's tuning off right now. No, it's the Batman number 50 wedding. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this, and they agreed, is because Batman can never be happy. And we mentioned that in our Batman episode. Batman can never be happy. When he gets engaged to Selena, he pulls out, what was it, an emerald? He pulls out the emerald and he's like, I bought it the very next day at an auction. The first thing that she ever stole.
Yeah.
The first everything that you ever stole, because I knew on that day that you and I were going to be destined to be together forever. Selena, will you marry me? And you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that like Batman had a soul like that.
Yep.
And I've always been a fan of like Happy Batman. That's why I like the new 52. Others don't. That's fine. But like all the Robins are there. I've said it before in this rant. But DC just can't let it happen. So it's the same thing. They plan their wedding. They're buying the dress, the tux, and he's talking to Alfred, and Alfred's like, I'm so proud of you, and things like that. But Selena's having like different thoughts. She's like, well, if Batman becomes happy, just like DC, it mimics DC. If Batman becomes happy, who is going to take care of Gotham? I mean, he's going to be wanting to spend time with me, and what if we have kids? What if we do this, and what if we do that, and we're on vacations, and then something happens? And so she ultimately leaves him basically a Dear John letter. A Dear John letter, and it's like, Bruce, I'm always going to love you, but this can't happen. I'm just going to paraphrase. But and it was a twist. But the bigger twist is what you find out at the very end. It was actually Bane. Because Bane becomes the big bad after this issue, like starting issue 51. He's been like creeping up to this point, and he put all these doubts into her mind because he wanted to break the bat. Finally break the bat one last time, because he couldn't break his back.
Yeah.
But the reason that this is important, it's definitely a flop, because DC does this big, probably retailers still remember it. It's probably a very sore spot for you and even consumers. DC does this big thing. They're going to get married. It's going to happen. They literally say that. It's going to happen. They flat out lie. This is going to be the biggest event. Buy all these copies. Buy all these special variant editions. Everyone's going to want one variant each, which was true. You had so many people going to their local comic book shops, probably Yancey Street, everywhere. Emerald City, all those people like,
Ordering hundreds.
Ordering
This
hundreds.
was like Death of Superman
Yeah.
all over
Exactly.
again.
It's exactly like Death of Superman all over again. I want one of each set, or I want like 3 sets. And so independent stores put so much money into it. But in the first FU, is DC's like, we're also going to sell it at Walmart. Which was also an issue because they did those giant size issues that, they compiled a bunch of old stories together, and they were cool. But they weren't letting individual retailers have it. Only Walmart had it for a while. Now they do. Now individual retailers can. So first they're like, well, we made you buy all these things essentially. Like all our people like product pushed this. But we're going to let a big competitor that can buy more than you get it. And they're like, well, okay. But what was the worst part about it is the New York Times does, just like they did, again, with Death of Superman, a little bit differently. They did this thing like Batman's going to get married. This is going to be pivotal. We all need this win right now in the universe. But let me just spoil the ending for you right there in this article.
Yeah.
And they did. They revealed in the article 2 to 3 days, I believe, before it came out.
A few days before
Yeah.
it came
Right
out.
before it came out, that, hey, it's not actually going to happen. Including myself. DC fans went nuts.
Yeah.
canceled orders. You had small time retailers trying to like.
They had wedding parties.
They had wedding parties, yeah.
Because DC sent them
Yeah.
little invitations to give out and all these
Exactly.
special events. These stores were going to do midnight openings.
Like
for this.
GameStop did. Like they finally were going to do something like these big events, and so you have retailers, you have consumers canceling their orders because they're like, I quit the Batman line for a while. I'm not going to lie.
No.
I'm not going to lie.
Tom King was not on board with this.
Yeah,
this
it was
an
not Tom
editorial.
King. Bless your heart.
No.
It wasn't him.
No.
But you know, they lost it. So they're like, whether they actually called their stores or not, they're like, well, I'm not going to pick these up.
Yep.
You know. Then you have individual retailers that were like, well, can I return these comics? And DC's like, no,
Well, it was Diamond at the time. Also
Yeah.
didn't take returns. But now
because it's
DC's doing
Diamond.
direct, so-
Yeah, but Diamond, you know, Diamond is Diamond, and if you've ever bought from Diamond, I don't want to like shame the place, but it's kind of a monopoly. I don't really agree with it. But you know, they were like, no, you ordered these tens of thousands of boxes, stick with them.
Yep.
So you have this huge event that a lot of independent people, I know a couple stores that kind of like almost went out of business,
Just
if
because
not
of this.
did,
Yeah.
because of this book. And so it's the biggest FU I think DC's ever done, in my opinion, other than Death of Superman.
I would
But
say
it-
you have to go back to that. Yeah.
which we'll do. We're gonna do. That's why we're doing deaths next week, because they kind of just they go
Yeah, it goes hand in hand.
in and of.
So this
each
is what
other.
we should have had. They even do that in a little dream sequence.
Yeah, they do it
Again,
in
they
dream
did the Spider-Man,
sequence.
Mary Jane dream sequence, and the build-up was amazing. And at this point, everybody was on.
Everyone
Team
was on
Batman
board,
and Catwoman,
yeah.
and it was
You
now.
expect them to be happy.
Now they were doing Selena. No, not Selena. Batwoman.
Mm-hmm.
Ruby Rose was getting married to.
Yeah, she was supposed to
love.
have her wedding herself, but since she's a lesbian and she
Yeah.
was going to marry a woman, DC's like, oh man, we can't be the first people. We can't be the first like industry to do that. We can't pioneer the way for acceptance. We're just going
And
to
they-
screw over the Batman
The
fans.
problem was is they did this lame excuse like
Yeah.
none of our characters are ever going to get married because we're going to
Yeah.
play the Marvel game where they rebooted Spider-Man. We're going to say,
Yeah.
you know, nobody in our group can ever get married. And the thing is like that very week Aquaman marries Mira.
Yeah.
In the issue, and it was like so.
And then joke's on you, Batman's going to do it. We guarantee this is the thing that's going to happen.
Yeah, and it was all right at that same time,
Yeah.
and it wound up biting them in the backside. And Marvel
Yeah.
went ahead with the marriage of North Star, who was an Alpha Flight character, kind of a B character.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny. We were looking at that Hulk bachelor party. He's in it.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
flirting with Ulysses, which was like the first time gay characters were flirting.
But
in a
they
Marvel comic, but they didn't actually
they don't
overtly
say
say
it,
what it
yeah.
was. It wasn't 2 years later North Star comes out
Yeah.
as gay, and then he starts he has a wedding with a character, and it becomes the first gay wedding in
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
a comic,
So basically,
not made from Marvel DC.
Well,
or some independents.
it
have
was
done it long
received
before.
well, though.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it
was.
was huge.
So basically, then the Batman franchise kind of plummets, and Batman is super depressed, and then Bane's in charge, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and it made good
rants.
reading after, but again, it was a poor way to get
It
there.
was devastating for people.
I mean, the plus side to Brand New Day for Spider-Man we were able to do Superior Spider-Man later
Love
on,
that run, yes.
and a few other things.
And then
that-
Renew Your Vows is really good, like you
But
said.
Joe Quesada, I remember his comment about why he made Spider-Man no longer married is like, because there's stories we were limited, but the stories we could tell because of their marriage. And he's like, there are stories we just couldn't write because they were married. And then, so I had to get rid of it. But then I'm like, but you never would have had that Spider-Man 50 with them
Yeah.
with the plane and all that you couldn't have done that without, the whole point was the marriage. Was
And it erases a
the
lot
heart
of
it.
Civil War,
Yeah, and
like
yeah,
his involvement,
and all that. It's just,
which was so pivotal.
so how could you not? Can you tell those stories when he's not married? No.
No.
So I think Quesada was wrong in that.
Yeah.
So
And DC was wrong in this.
yeah. So
The next wedding's kind of interesting. Deadpool.
Our last wedding.
Our last wedding. Deadpool actually gets married.
that was a crazy cover. This is like a
I
George
remember that
Perez
one,
style
yeah.
cover.
And it really, was it actually a record holder?
No,
Or is that
I don't
just them
know. I
saying
think
that?
they just did that.
I think they
yeah.
just threw that in.
So the people that did this one is actually a comedian I'm a big fan of. He's been on the Geek TV show,
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory.
Oh, okay.
Brian Posen.
How many
He
geek
did
things
this.
are
He
there?
also wrote some Daredevil as well.
Yep.
And artwork was done by Jimmy
Hitmonkey.
Palamotti, which
I love
was
Hitmonkey.
doing Harley Quinn But that
Dogpool.
series of Harley Quinn's been ended now.
Yeah.
But Deadpool gets married to Shikla. She's a little succubus.
In a huge oversized edition too. Like it was a
Yes,
huge
I do
book.
like-
super-sized edition.
I do love Cap and everybody in the tuxes. That's nice.
Even the little Deadpool dog.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Dogpool.
So this was a big issue. So he finally decides he wants to tie the knot, finds a succubus. But there's a big twist. Dracula steps in to
Yeah.
C-block the marriage.
Yep.
So they do end up getting married. They're happy as Wade Wilson can be.
As happy as someone married to Deadpool can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty twisted. She ends up.
And then it is the ghost of Ben Franklin who officiates, I think, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it's
correct.
Yes.
Yes, which is another weird thing, but it's
But
Deadpool.
hey, it's
that's
Deadpool.
why
We
you can
expect
do
this
anything
stuff.
with
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
She ends up cheating on him with a werewolf.
Yes.
And he hunts the werewolf
Howling
down.
Commandos.
Yeah, shoots the werewolf. Then him and her start fighting. They get divorced, and she ends up going to the one that was behind the whole thing, Dracula.
Dracula. Yeah. Because Dracula's badass.
Rob just said they need to make that into the movie.
They should.
They
That should be
should.
the next
That
movie.
would be a
I would totes watch that. That would
But
be
it was
awesome.
interesting because you have the whole time where he is in love with the death.
Yeah.
And that's a big F you to Thanos.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I killed half these people for you in the comics.
So
Yeah.
in the thing when Marvel sends out the little promos about it, it says first in this enormously oversized issue or main feature, the biggest wedding since that one guy married that other guy, as Deadpool
Yeah.
and his mysterious bride tie the knot.
Yep.
So I just thought it was funny because we already know that
Yeah.
comic.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Not
pretty...
even Deadpool can be happily married.
Yeah, I mean...
You
and
can
it's-
too, Michael, when you submit your application.
Yeah, right now.
Not letting this go.
Yeah, yeah.
But even
good
in the
to see you
movies,
smile.
Deadpool can't be happily married.
No, they kill her
No,
off
they
in the
kill her
second one,
off.
But then he time travels. and
Yeah.
I
That's-
didn't like
that-
that in the second one. I didn't
They-
like that. They should have just...
Yeah. It's again...
It didn't ruin the movie.
No, it didn't.
No,
But again...
but it did. It was fun for the time travel, for the jokes that he ended up
Yeah, that
doing,
is true.
Yeah.
killing himself
Yeah.
from the other version of the movie.
Yeah.
Yes. And then killing Ryan Reynolds before he plays Green
Green
Lantern.
Lantern.
Which was
So
awesome.
that was the
saving
best
the
part
one
about
guy,
that.
his favorite guy from the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So there's been other major weddings too that we didn't even talk about.
There's
They weren't
always
good enough
are,
for
so
us.
yeah. Which ones are you
So-
looking at?
There was where did it go?
Well, there we go. Okay.
Another
important.
Marvel comic Colossus got married.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And that was it wasn't to Kitty. It was, because they were getting close at one point. But
The article didn't say it, but I know Green Arrow, Black Canary got married.
that was huge. That was actually a wonderful
I was-
character
yeah.
pairing, so,
We mentioned Aquaman and Mira getting married.
yeah. And, yeah, and again, these were issues that they dealt with it, and they got them together, and then they would kind of drift them apart, bring them back together,
back
drift
together,
them
yeah.
apart. And that's, it's soap opera. That's
And
all it is.
Luke Cage and Jessica Jones.
Luke Cage and
which
Jessica
you had
Jones.
that-
Now that is
you had the
still-
romance in the show when they did that.
Yep, and they're still doing that. They're still together. They have a kid, and that during Civil War, that was a big thing. Was Jessica was trying to hide the kid from the Cape Killers
Yeah.
that were hunting them, and that was why Luke was so anti-registration. Because I remember my favorite line about that. For those that followed Civil War was Luke had a line which was I'm protecting my family more than I'm protecting you. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, he had all the best lines in Civil War.
And you also like it because Cap was on that side, and
Yeah.
you do anything that Cap does.
Well, Luke had the best line. He's like, they're like, Tony Stark comes up to him and goes, Luke, it's the law. And Luke just looks up and says, slavery was the law once too.
Oh, snap!
Oh, boom, drop the mic.
I've always loved Luke Cage because he's just a guy, and then he's like, oh, now I got powers.
Yeah.
All right, I'm still gonna help these people out. You know what I mean?
Bendis
I'm gonna
Luke
help.
Cage is best Luke Cage. So, yeah, but yeah, him and Jessica.
I will
should've
give
talked about
Bendis
their-
that. I will give Bendis
I should have
that.
talked about their marriage more. Sorry.
So again, go to any of your local comic book shops, support them. You can pick up all them and the graphic novels and everything.
Yeah, definitely. The weddings are something fun to read. Marvel made them all, epic. Everybody shows up and all that. DC did that too later on because when they did this big Superman wedding, that was huge. I do like that Nick Fury is like the common link in all the Marvel weddings. Like he provided security.
Yeah.
In the comic, yeah, he was security for the
Fantastic Four wedding. For the X-Men wedding, he dropped something there as a present. The Rick Jones wedding, he sent the stripper. He's in all of them. I think something was going on even with the Deadpool wedding. I think he shows up for like 5 seconds. It just shows that Nick Fury's really the secret mastermind behind all these relationships.
He's the wedding planner.
He is.
He is.
He's the ultimate wedding planner. Yes. Yes.
Can we get Samuel L. Jackson to do that in one of the movies? They need to get a Marvel movie to do a wedding.
I would totally watch Samuel L. Jackson being Franck from Father of the Bride. So yes. So.
Or from Princess Bride. Marriage.
Marriage, yeah.
Marriage. But it's like, marriage, mother effer. Yeah. Marriage is why we're here.
Can you spell it? Yeah. Good stuff. Well, gang, I think we're running out of time.
We got like a minute and a half.
A minute left.
Tell us about yourself, Michael. Tell the people about yourself.
Yeah, one more.
No.
He really honestly needed to smile. We love Michael. I know it seems like we're teasing him, but he's been going through some stuff. I've been going through some stuff. You've been going through that. We just want to laugh today, so no hard feelings. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings.
No, you didn't hurt my feelings.
Because see, he still likes
See,
me.
we're all still
Good.
friends.
Exactly.
All still friends. Just like every comic crossover.
This
We
isn't
fight, and then we get back together.
This isn't a bullying.
So again,
It's a
where can
bullying.
everybody follow you at?
ErieFlorida.com has all our links and stuff. And then where can they find you on Instagram now, Miss Elizabeth?
I don't know. I'm Eater of Darkness. I
Eater
eat
of
the
Darkness on Instagram now.
Yeah, they're making me do those things.
And we're researching your new book this weekend, so that's
Yes.
part of
It's
this.
going to be fun.
Yes.
Again,
part of
if you
this
want
adventure.
if you want to be a guest on a show, cosplay guest, email us at home@comicbook101tv.com, info@comicbook101tv.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's all Comic Book 101 TV.
And that's
Definitely.
it. So
That's
merry,
gonna be-
happy wedding bells to Elizabeth
Yes.
in a couple weeks.
Congrats.
And
As our fiance is sitting over
hiding
watching
off
the whole
camera
time.
over here. He's been.
He doesn't want to be on camera. I respect
Come
his
over here, come
boundaries.
over here.
we're
There
gonna
we
have
go.
him pop up
Cameo.
on. There he is.
Yeah, there's the
Our
happy
cameo.
couple. That's what we were waiting
Aw.
for. Last few seconds.
We'll
Good
see
night,
you all next
everybody.
week. Goodbye.